to go. Yeah, I did.
What do you remember about that game? What caught your attention about Miami?
I could see they were, playing with the attention to details. I think they played with a great tenacity. And I always thought that about Mario Cristobal and his teams that he's had, obviously his coaching, but I coached against him when I was at Washington, he was at Oregon, so I've always kind of looked at him from afar and, thought he did a great job.
Well, your coaching career is obviously on the ascent. I mean, you weren't here for 2 seconds before people started saying you might go to the NFL and things like that.
Yeah, that was coming.
Why Miami, and what made you want to be here?
Same, just piggyback on that same last one. Cristobal, just going against him when we had some battles up there with Washington and Oregon. Just watching him from afar and just kind of, why not go learn off one of the best in the country and be a sponge? I think that was one of the biggest things for me, just having that conversation with him. NFL things came about, but at the end of the day, I had to do what's best for my family.
What can you say about the talent and the safety and just the defensive back room overall, and how does it compare to previous rooms that you've coached?
Yeah, I've been here about a week. I would say that. We got some talent in this room. I couldn't necessarily compare them just yet. We got our practice Monday. I will say that. I'm excited about it. I think we got some young talent in that room. I'm talking about corners, stars, and safety. So I think it's going to be a good little spring ball that we got coming up.
For you, just how do you approach that? Again, you got here about a week ago, that time between getting here before spring ball, just trying to get to know the guys before they get on the field and start to build that base of knowing who you have.
Yeah, I think, being a year in Florida, understanding some of the guys that's already been in the room, some of the guys I probably already recruited, getting to know them a little bit better, obviously being here now, but it's been really good. Obviously, I think the biggest thing for us right now is learning the defense and making sure we're ironing out all the details of everything and everybody being on the same page. I've said this before, I truly believe this communication breeds understanding. I got asked a question earlier, what are some of the biggest things that I've felt like that we got to come in and correct right away? I would say it's the explosive plays, the tackling in the back end, which I'm huge on. So I think that's some of the things that we've been talking about ironing out right now as a staff.
We talked to Zach a little bit about this as well, but communication was a big thing here last year in the secondary. And how do you cultivate that with the players and improve that area of the game so that when they get to game day, it's a little bit more?
No, I agree with that. Like I was talking about, communication breeds understanding. First and foremost, it's us being on the same page with Coach Heatherman, and then Coach Etheridge and I being on the same page of us, the whole back end. I just think, as far as anything goes, it's always going to come back and end with us. You know what I'm saying? So I think right now that's the biggest thing we're working on, is making sure that we're ironing out all the details, and communication breeds understanding. So that's the biggest thing for us right now, is being all on the same page.
College football has changed a lot. You're a new coach, you walk into a new team, and there's guys from the transfer portal, their first time here, then there's guys that already been here. What's your process into coming up with getting the best 2 or 3 guys on the field? What is your process?
Finding out what they can do. Finding out their strengths and weaknesses. I think that's the biggest thing for us right now as well, is kind of seeing Zachariah Poyser, can he play the free, can he play the strong, can he play the star? Just putting guys in positions and seeing what they can do and learn. I think that's the biggest part of it right now, is where do we put these pieces?
I asked Coach Etheridge about this a minute ago, but just, how have you built that the rapport with him over the last couple, week or 2 since you've been here?
Yeah, I've known about Coach Etheridge. We obviously kept in touch. It's a small fraternity as far as football goes. But as soon as I got here, it was kind of like we just hit it running. We speak some of the same language, coming from some of the same trees. So it's really just us being on the same page for the guys in the room. I think it's gonna work out well.
And just your thoughts on Corey Heffernan, the style of scheme you want to do, and just how you feel like the way that you coach and whatnot fits into what you want to do.
Yeah, going through the interviewing process, I think that's where we hit it on the head, is speaking the same language. It's about stopping the run first and foremost, as we all know, and then eliminating explosive, and then takeaways. He's really huge on takeaways. I love what he says all the time, is being obsessed with the football. It doesn't matter at all times, we're being obsessed with the football. So I'm excited about this situation that we're in right now.
When it comes to recruiting, what type of player are you looking to add to the team?
Yeah, I think it comes back to, I think a lot of people fail to do this part about the recruiting process. It's about finding the guys that's wired the right way. And what does that mean? It's we got a good football player, but it's a whole football player. How is his character? How is he in and out the building? I think that's really huge. And then obviously you go into it, can he tackle, can he catch, can he retain information? We talk about football IQ, so get into that part of it. But one thing that I learned for sure is really about the guy that's wired the right way.
You tweet about chess a lot.
Yeah, it's coming.
Are you a fan of the chess game?
Yeah, it's
Two,
life.
There was a story that came out about you leaving the chess piece on Billy Napier's desk.
I knew that was coming too. No, I ain't no truth. I respect Billy Napier a lot, man. Obviously, you know, him bringing me up there, learned a lot off of him this past year. But once again, I had to do what's best for my family. But yeah, I'm really big into chess. It's about life, man. It's about moves, making the correct moves. Even the chess pieces we just said, finding the right guys and where they fit to play the game the right way.
So what was the chess piece that you left on his desk?
None at all, baby. None at all.
Having spent time in the NFL and in the college games, what do you find is similar about coaching in the NFL and college, and what's the biggest difference?
Fundamentals and technique. You know, I think the league is, I get it, our game is kind of going towards that with the NIL piece and all that type of stuff, but I wouldn't say it's much difference in the aspect of technique and fundamentals. It's just those guys are grown men out there. So, you know, it's these guys, man, starting to understand what programs they're coming from, what they do know and what they don't know. So I think it's always coming back to the basics of it all. I always talk about the technique and fundamentals. I don't care if that's Pop Warner all the way to the NFL. So that's what I believe in.
Do you think coming from the NFL that will change your approach to coaching to help develop these young men
It
to be
did.
one at that level?
It did. It helped me learn a lot, just kind of how those guys go about their everyday life and how they take care of their bodies. So that's kind of how I treat these guys. I tell them all the time, I'm treating you like our pro athletes. Yeah, we're college students and all that, but understand this, I'm gonna treat you like a pro athlete, meaning you gotta handle your business and all the responsibility with all of it.
Anything else, Coach Harris?
Yeah, well, just your approach for spring football, if you could maybe expand on a little bit more, what you're gonna be, maybe some points of emphasis for you as you try to identify what guys you're gonna be able to.
Yeah, I think it's just us learning the defense. First and foremost, we're all learning it together right now with all the new pieces that we have in the back end in particular. I would say the biggest thing for me, and I've said this everywhere I've been, we have to eliminate the explosive plays. Whether that's them, you know, throwing into the flat, what is our angles? How are we taking that approach on the tackle? I think the next biggest thing is we're overemphasizing the communication part of it. I truly believe in that piece because when we're all on the same page, it don't matter if we're all wrong, we're all right. And that's kind of how I explain to the guys. But I think that's some of the emphasis that I'm talking about going into with the spring. And then just finding out our guys, kind of like he was asking earlier, is like what pieces do we have that can play in certain positions?
How do you balance the safety position of being aggressive and also staying back? What's your kind of coaching philosophy to eliminate the explosive plays that you mentioned?
Yeah, so Coach Etheridge and I are doing the whole thing together, right? Whereas one. I think it's just us, you know, finding ways of, hey, I might have this side and he might have that side. But we see it from the back end. Obviously, it's talking about stopping the run, but it's just us making sure communication is all on point.
Does it help to have two guys working with the secondary?
It just depends, whatever someone's preference is. I've been different places where you've had one guy and you have some QCs or GAs, and I've been places where you had actually 3 DB coaches. So it just depends, but really it comes back to everybody working together, truly, and being all on the same page. We all have to be on the same page and speaking the same language.
Miami may have a first-round draft pick in Cam Ward this year. You got the game plan against him last year, and then experience it.
Yeah.
What was that? How did you experience that before and after? Actually game planning, and then what actually happened?
It was an interesting situation up there with obviously just trying to figure that out with him transferring here. Like, what tape do we watch? You know, understanding Coach Dawson's offense. You know, game planning wise, we would have obviously done a lot of things differently. You know, understanding that part of it, but. Obviously, he's a special talent. I really do believe that. He was one of the better quarterbacks we saw last year. So, just game planning wise, just understanding. I understand in the ACC we got some really good quarterbacks that can do some of the similar things that he does. And it's really just understanding how we are going to control that in the back end.
Thank you, Coach Harris.
Yep.